Dr. Holly here. I'm an associate professor of medicine at CU Anschutz Health and Wellness Center, and I am the co-founder of the transformational weight loss program called Stay to Slim. Doing my week 6 recap. A lot of you are following Kathie J and Larry as they go on their Stay to Slim journey, their transformational weight loss journey, and I follow them every week, give you a little bit of recap about what you can take away from their journey, from what they're doing and what they're talking about every week on air. So this is week 6. They're killing it. They give me a heart attack every week. They like to procrastinate like a lot of people, but in the end they come home and they really do the work and they're killing it. They're doing really, really well. Week 6 is an important week. We are still trying to create what I call an autopilot. We did some of the work in week 5 when we tried to help create an environment that would help us. We talked a lot about that. In week 6, we're still creating an autopilot, but we're doing it with routines and rituals, especially routines. So it was really all about putting some routines in place for them. Now, routine has a very special definition when it comes to Stay to Slim. It's not just a habit or just a routine like you might think about the definition. In Stay to Slim, when we talk about putting a routine in place, the definition of a routine is a little behavior, a small behavior, something that's super easy to do that you can put into place that's going to make a harder behavior, something that you're struggling with, more likely to happen. Make it easier. Right? So if you're struggling with getting your exercise minutes in, then you think about what little routine could I put in place that would make it easier for me to get my exercise minutes in. The routine isn't I'm going to do my exercise minutes every night. That's what you're struggling with. The routine you're going to put in place is what you can do to help yourself with that. Right? So for instance, if you're having trouble getting your exercise minutes in because you're not able to get up early in the morning because you're too tired, what routine could you put in place? Something that's pretty easy that would make you less tired in the morning, would make it more likely that you could get up. So for instance, I like to put my TV on a timer so that it goes off at 8:30 or 9 o'clock and it really reminds me, Holly, it's time to get in bed. It's time to go to sleep so you can get up really early and do your exercise. That's a little thing. That's a little behavior I could get in habit of doing, right? Putting my TV on a timer. It doesn't take a lot of energy from me, but it has the potential of having a big effect if it works. And sometimes you got to try out some routines to see if they're really going to help you out. So this week was all about thinking, where am I struggling? What am I having difficulty with? And what little routines can I start putting into place that's going to make the hard behaviors, the things that I'm struggling with, more likely to happen? And that creates an autopilot. Remember, we always begin with the end in mind and Stay to Slim. So doing this isn't necessarily going to produce any more weight loss right now. Right now, everyone is super motivated. Kathie and Larry are doing all this, whether they have these routines in place or not. They're kind of forcing themselves to do it. But we want it to be as easy as possible at the end of the day, right? We're already looking to where we need to be in weight loss maintenance, and we're setting ourselves up to where that is as easy as possible. And creating an autopilot is super important, and routines is one way that we do that. So examples of routines. People always say, well, I don't quite get it. So putting the timer on was one. Putting your exercise clothes out before you go to bed, laying them out. That's a little thing, takes a little bit of energy, but might make it really, might help you a lot in the morning. Once you just get up, you don't even think about it, and you put those clothes on. Right? I am not a morning person, but if I have my clothes laid out and I can just get up and get them on, that makes it more likely. It's an odds game that I'm actually going to make it to the gym and I'm actually going to be able to work out. I always talk about if you're having trouble eating vegetables, when routines could be around, do you have vegetables in your home? If not, could you have someone delivering vegetables to you? Are they cut up and ready to go? If not, could you make it a routine that every Sunday you cut up your vegetables? If you don't like vegetables, a routine may be that you're going to try a new recipe every Sunday. So it is really saying, where am I struggling? Why am I struggling? And what little easy thing might have a huge effect on my whole week, on the behavior that I'm really having trouble with? And that's the key. You've got to be a detective. You got to be kind of sneaky. You got to say, okay, what am I struggling with and why? And what little thing, easy thing, can I do that's going to help me? It's going to magnify, it's going to multiply. It's really going to help me in the weeks, months, and years ahead. Once again, we're beginning with the end in mind. This is ultimately where you need to be. Another one that I always talk about is I never go down the chip aisle. If you know me, I love chips. If chips make it into my house, it is a disaster. I will think about the chips all the time until they're all gone. I cannot be alone with a bag of chips. So one of my routines that is just a rule and it's just something I do is I never go down the chip aisle. I see the chip aisle, I go, there's the chip aisle, and I just roll my buggy past it most of the time. I roll my buggy past it. It takes a little bit of energy. You know, it's not super easy, but it takes a little bit of energy, but it's not as hard as if those chips end up in my buggy. Heaven forbid they end up in my buggy and then they end up in my cupboard. Well, then all bets are off of what's going to happen. I always say nothing good has ever happened to me in the chip aisle. That's what I'm saying as I'm rolling my buggy by. So that's a routine I do. If you don't struggle with chips, that's not going to be a good routine for you. You've got to make your routine work for you. It's got to work for where you struggle. It's got to work for why you are having some difficulties. You have to be a detective, like I said. Kathie and Larry put some great routines in place. Kathie talked about one of the routines that she's getting in the habit of doing that's really helping her get her exercise minutes in is after dinner around 7 p.m. she goes down into the basement where she has her exercise room set up. She has her environment set up to help her. She takes the girls down there. They spend some time together. She's on the treadmill. They're doing things. It's kind of a family time. She also likes it that they see that she's doing exercise, that it's important. It's creating this environment she wants to create, this family kind of environment. She's getting in the routine of going down every night at 7 p.m. and getting some activity in, getting some of those minutes in. And that's a routine that's working for her. Larry also put some routines in place. He has a great meal prep routine happening on Sunday. He also has enlisted his husband, Chris, to work out with him. So they've kind of got into the routine that they work out together. Things like that will pay dividends in the future. It's really something that's going to help you long term. So routines and rituals, that's what week 6 was all about. For those of you who've been following, you also know they had the Redemption Challenge. And I just want to report, and I think I've already put a video out there with their reaction. They did complete it. They gave me a heart attack. They waited, I don't know, I think they had like something like 12 miles left on Sunday. I thought there's no way they're going to make it, but they pulled it out and they did it. And Kathie did the last mile and even went over it, did 2.4 miles at like 10 p.m. at night, and they nailed it. And the experience was great because I think they now see they can do more than they thought they can. They did it during a super busy time. They can use each other, and they said that the accountability for everybody out there watching their journey, that really kept them going. They didn't want to let you guys down, right? And that works. The power of your team, the power of your social circle, the power of doing things and knowing other people are out there doing them with you and are depending on you. And then they had their carrot and their stick, and that helped too. So she did get her massage, and Larry gets to keep his trainer this week. So they have a new challenge out. You can go look at that video for the next week. But here's the take home. I always want to give you a take home. The take home message from week 6 is, try to figure out where you struggle and come up with your own routine. Like I said, the routines I've talked about may not fit for you. Be a detective. Put in place something that can help you with something you're struggling. Think about, why am I struggling and what little thing can I put in place? I would love for you to post the routines that work for you or the routine you're going to try. I always say try a routine. Try it for 1 or 2 weeks. See if the behavior you're trying to improve or make easier, see if it gets better or gets easier. And if it does, then it's a winning routine and keep it. If it doesn't, you missed the mark. You can let go of that routine and try another one. So in other words, if you're trying to work out a certain number of days and you're struggling with that, put a routine in place and count how many days a week you work out. If it's gone up, let's say you were only hitting 3 times a week, and then you put this routine in place and now you're hitting 5, I'd say that's a winner, right? It increased it from 3 to 5. If it didn't, or it didn't make it easier, get another routine. It's a little bit of trial and error. It's a little bit of detective work. But when you find the right routines, little things that really help you, huge, huge payback and super important for your long-term success. All right, guys, I will see you next week. It's week 7, and we're getting into emotional resiliency and feeling your emotions. So really good stuff, really important stuff. Love y'all. See you next week. Bye.